I'm going to ask you something that might be a little bit controversial. How do you feel? Because I do encounter veterans. I mean, I work mostly with the senior community. A lot of them are veterans, Vietnam veteran, even before that. How do you feel about taking care of veterans before taking care of immigrants? That's a controversial topic, and I want people to understand it's not, I'm an immigrant myself, so it's nothing to do with being against immigrants. I'm trying to look at this from a logical perspective. Veterans, sometimes I hear from them and from regular people that work all their life, they have a hard time getting the help they need, but then at the same time they see illegals getting hotels, getting credit cards, getting phones. How do you feel about those things from a veteran's perspective?
Well, I always feel like our veterans should and must be taken care of, right? I'm also a part of the VFW, and I'm an officer of the district as a VFW member. So, my heart is always with veterans. Like you said, it has nothing to do with you're against immigrants or anything like that. But our veterans deserve what they're supposed to get, and some of that is miscommunication and lack of facts. So we have to, our government, ourselves, our community, we have to make a better effort in reaching out to veterans and telling them what it is that they need. As many times, not what they need, I'm sorry, but the services for their needs. So there's services out there for them. We have to reach out and get them. I don't know what the disconnect is at times with why maybe immigrants might get certain services and veterans don't. I don't understand.
Maybe it's like what you say, that veterans sometimes are not informed. Like I run into some veterans' wife, even after the spouse had passed on, that they have benefit like, is it CHAMPS for health insurance? Yeah. Meanwhile, they were paying expensive Medicare supplements, but they had complete medical care through veteran services.
Yeah, I think we need a bigger push in terms of, like TV commercials. I mean, how many TV commercials have you seen for the VA? Do you remember any?
No, not really.
To me, that's a problem. Put it in the newspaper, social media, on television, and I think that's sometimes the disconnect is that it's not being pushed out there. The VFW, we do what we can, the American Legion and other the Vietnam veterans groups, they push with the members they have, but if the person's not part of that, they're not going to know.
Why do you think that lack of communications to veterans happen? And I'm not saying this is what it is. I'm just asking to get different opinion. Do most veterans fall one way in the political spectrum? Could that possibly have anything to do, or you don't think so?
I don't. I'm going to say I don't think so. Only because, like, when I asked you, do you remember any commercials for the VA? You said no. That has to come either from the VA, the federal, and the federal government. It can come from the state government, right? Like, they have to get together and push out information. Hey, you're entitled to these things, and that's important. But we don't have that. So how are these veterans going to know? The ones that are not attached to veterans groups are going to know that things are out there. And, a lot of times when veterans get out of the service, military folks get out of service members, they're trying to get their lives together outside of the service, and they don't always think about joining the different groups, yeah. Even though I think it's important because it provides information. But our government does have a responsibility to get this information out there, but we even talking about like the VA and everything, they've been talking about closing departments over at the VA Northport. A few years ago, we were there in front of the VA, a bunch of us with U.S. Senator and other folks asking that the VA not be closed down.
How is that going to help with recruiting?
how is that going to help with anything? How are people going to get services? But these are the issues. You can't cut back on the services. You have to promote what they have. You got to let them know what's out there. There's so many wonderful programs that could help, but it's got to be advertised. It's got to be pushed. And that's important. I think that's part of the disconnect. There's no communication.
Yeah, I agree with you. So maybe in this channel, Assy Girls, we can also have more people and create awareness, not just for the unity of America, but also, I mean, this is for veterans. This channel is dedicated for veterans to speak up, but also let's speak up for veterans. So
Yes.
I'll keep that in mind for the future. So